Happy Friday. Welcome, guys. My name is DK. Got a 7-game slate to talk about in this video. If it's your first time watching, cover content for DFS and for player prop stuff. Sponsor of the video, that would be Parlay Play. Guys, if you're not on Parlay Play, use the link down below for a $100 deposit match bonus. But basically, you are building out slips of player props. You can win up to 155x your money on Parlay Play. And all of the different sports they offer are up here. I always say in these videos, but my best advice is get on as many of these DFS/prop sites as possible. When you do want to place your player prop stuff, you can search for which one offers the best value. So if you guys do want to check it out, click that link. If you click the link and deposit, it does help support the channel. And if you look for more content, as always, you can check my Patreon link down below. All right, so slate's currently going on tonight. Going to give this video up a bit early. But let's talk about the Friday slate. So start off with San Antonio and Charlotte. San Antonio, Wembanyama is out. We do keep an eye on the Zach Collins news, though. He is questionable. If he misses, then you should get like Dominic Barlow, my guess would be starting, and then some Sandro Mamukelashvili in the rotation as well. You could have some value there with the San Antonio bigs. But yeah, with Wembanyama out, I mean, these other pieces look a lot better. It's a great spot here against the Hornets. Sub 7K for Vassell, 6.4 for Keldon, 5.8K for Trey Jones, 5.2K for Jeremy Sohan. I think all these guys look pretty good. I mean, Vassell's been consistently playing low to mid 30s minutes. Keldon Johnson's been, in the 25 to 30 minute range. He's been disappointing of late, obviously 1 of 11, 2 of 4. But we know Keldon still has a ceiling, is reasonable price point. Trey Jones, since moving in the starting lineup, minutes have been pretty secure on him. Sohan's been playing, around 30 minutes a game. So there's a lot to like here with some of these secondary pieces. And then, like I said, the Zach Collins news is big because we could have some value here with Barlow and Mamukelashvili. Now, Zach Collins plays. I think he'll be limited because he's been out for, 2-3 weeks now. But if he plays, starts, and it's not limited, then I'm pretty high on Zach Collins. All right, so let's talk about Charlotte. So Charlotte, no Gordon Hayward, no Mark Williams. Brandon Miller, questionable. Nick Richards, questionable. But yeah, top end, I like LaMelo Ball. Sub 9K. Talked about him last night. I was high in him for tournaments at 0% ownership, and he had a good game, 50 fantasy points. Listen, we know how good of a point per minute guy LaMelo is. I think he probably plays low 30s minutes. Last game was a blowout too, so he could play a little bit more. I think this is a nice, buy low spot. I think this is too cheap a price point here for LaMelo. He looks good. Rozier and Bridges, both reasonable plays. 7.2K for Terry Rozier, 7.1K for Miles Bridges. Both reasonable options. If there's no Nick Richards, then we'll see how they do the starting lineup. I think they probably start PJ at the 5 and go small ball. But you also could see some Nathan Mensah, who's been playing some backup 5. So we'll monitor the situation there. If Brandon Miller's out, you should get more solidified minutes for a guy like Cody Martin. If Miller and Richards are both out, then we have to start considering some of this gross value. McGowan's also in the injury report. You start looking at guys like, Nick Smith Jr., pretty gross. Maybe some JT Thor. It is really, really disgusting value. Philly and Orlando. So no D'Anthony Melton, but Joel Embiid at the top, 11.5K. He's playing just on another level right now, just dominating whenever he's in the court. I think Embiid looks great if you can afford him. Maxey and Harris, more secondary plays for me. 8.9 for Maxey and 6.9K for Tobias Harris. With D'Anthony Melton out, Nick Batum been playing pretty consistent minutes. 25, 28, 35 minutes over the last 3 games. Now Batum is not a really super high usage player, but should play decent minutes. Kelly Oubre also gets a slight minutes bump as well. We're probably gonna expect somewhere in the high 20s to low 30s minute range. I like the ceiling on him a bit more than Batum. And yeah, Pat Beverly also has been seeing a minutes bump off the bench, 27, 29, and 27 minutes over the last 3 games. So makes him a reasonable value there. For Orlando, so still no Franz, no Gary Harris. Paolo Banchero, 9K. He's the guy that's right now leading the offense. 25 shots last game. Clearly a guy with a pretty high ceiling. The rest of Orlando gets a little bit tricky. Suggs minutes have not been amazing of late, even competitive games, 27, 28 minutes. Yeah, Cole Anthony, that probably sees, low 20s minutes on the bench. You also have Markelle Fultz, right? So they have 3 guards are kind of mixing in. Fultz did play 30 minutes last game, something to keep an eye on. I don't know if we see that type of run again from him, but if we do, sub 5K, he would be a pretty good value. You got Goga Batadze right now splitting center position with Wendell Carter Jr. Mo Wagner was a DNP last game. So 24 minutes for both these two. There obviously is some foul risks for these guys going up against Joel Embiid, but if we don't see Mo Wagner again, you see the full 48 for Carter Jr. and Agogo Bataze. That's going to make them stand out as pretty good plays. I don't really know if I get to anyone else. Chumo Kiki, 4.2K. I mean, he did play 30 minutes last game. I guess you continue to start. Okay. Caleb Houston, minutes are ticked down. I can't do that. And then you got some bench value. Joe Ingles, 20 minutes now the last 3 games. An okay punt play. And Jonathan Isaac, 3.4. We'll at least see some rotation minutes. All right, Denver and Boston. This should be a great game to watch. Denver, basically fully healthy. Aaron Gordon, probable. I think I'm mainly just looking at the top two in Jokic and Jamal Murray. 11.3K for Jokic in a competitive game. I think we probably see high 30s minutes. He played 38 minutes last game against Philadelphia. Jamal Murray also played 38 minutes. So both Murray and Jokic I think look pretty good. The rest of Denver are just more secondary options. MPJ, Gordon, KCP. The value, I mean, Reggie Jackson probably sees around 20 minutes on the bench. He's a decent punt play. I don't know if we get to like Watson or Brown, but they'll see rotation minutes too. For Boston, they're fully healthy. And you guys know when Boston's fully healthy, it's kind of hard for me to prioritize anyone. I'm not saying these guys are out of play, but it's just tough for me on a 7-game slate to be like, oh, yeah, I really like, this guy. I really like that guy. I think like all the main guys are playable, but there's no one here that I'm like going to go out of my way to play in Boston. All right, Atlanta, Miami. So the big news, obviously, is Trae Young. He's questionable. If Trae Young misses, DeJounte Murray benefits the most, but then also you would see a minutes and usage bump for a guy like Bogdan Bogdanovic at 5.6K. So those two would look like really good plays if Trae Young is out. And then more usage for some other starters, right? Jalen Johnson, more usage. He would look better. His minutes have been solid of late. He's playing huge minutes. A little more on for Sadiq Bey, maybe. So the Trae Young news is big. As far as the bigs go, you got Clint Capella, 5.8K. Should play, mid-20s minutes. Okongwu with nice eligibility will back him up. 23, 27 minutes over the last couple games. I do think Okongwu is a solid value play. Again, it's nice that he has power forward eligibility. It makes him a little bit easier to get into your lineups. And then if Trae Young is in, then I think Trae Young himself would be a solid tournament play. I mean, I've taken his over on props a few times recently, and he's just been awful. But, I mean, this is in his range of outcomes, right? He can go for 70. So, yes, he would be playable in tournaments if he does play. Now, for Miami, Aka is doubtful. Kevin Love is questionable. As far as the top end guys go, Bam, Jimmy, and Tyler Hero, all viable options. It's a great matchup. Now, the tricky part would be like picking between these guys, right? 7.6K for Jimmy Butler, probably sees mid to high 30s minutes. Bam and Adebayo, similar, like I expect mid to high 30s minutes for him. Hero should see mid 30s minutes. I think I have interest in all three of Miami guys, but I don't know if one stands out more than the other, if that makes sense. The rest of Miami, Duncan Robinson, 5.2. Minutes have been ticking down of late. You got Caleb Martin at 5K, probably sees mid-20s minutes. Jovic at 4.6 has been, playing around 20 minutes last couple games. Jay Rich, Lowry, they'll be in the rotation. Lowry is 4K. I actually think he's an okay punt play. 26, 24, and 29 minutes. Am I excited to play Kyle Lowry? No. But if he's going to continue to play mid-high 20s minutes at this price point in this matchup, then okay. I think you got to consider him, right? Phoenix and New Orleans. So Phoenix basically fully healthy outside of my boy Bol Bol. So you will not be seeing the Bol Bol memes on Twitter. But yeah, the tricky part here with Phoenix is, once again, when they're fully healthy, it's like, okay, KD, Booker, Beal, all viable options, but price points, they seem priced about right. Like, I think these guys all have a ceiling, but, kind of like some of these other teams we talked about, it's tricky when a team's fully healthy of like, okay, well, which one you really want to go to? And that's what we talked about with Boston. Kind of same thing with Phoenix. We'll talk about with New Orleans as well in a bit. Nurkic, my boy, probably sees high 20s minutes. But the price point feels about right? They're not playing him huge minutes right now. Grayson Allen had an enormous game last game. I think that was obviously an outlier performance from him. But he's like firmly in the rotation. He's playing like 30 minutes a night with nice eligibility. So he's fine, but might be a bit over-owned because of that last game. Eric Gordon should see mid-20s minutes on the bench. He's a fine contrarian punt play. Applies to a little bit of Eubanks or a little bit of Met too. But yeah, that's it for Phoenix. Let's talk about New Orleans. So you saw just a massive game from Ingram. 70 fantasy points, almost triple-double. Kind of out of nowhere because he's been pretty quiet. 27, 22, 22, 37, and then 70 bomb for Ingram. Now, when this team's fully healthy, again, you got Ingram, you got CJ, you got Zion. These guys should all play 30-plus minutes. This one will kind of be an ownership thing if I'm going to play one. Maybe if one guy's getting a lot more ownership than the other, then okay, then I'll might lean toward the one that's lower owned. But JV, I think, is out of play for me at this price point. He's just not getting the minutes. Larry Nance, I think, is an okay punt play, 4.4. He should play whatever JV doesn't play. He's gone for basically 20 plus fantasy points now in the last 5 games. So I think he's an okay punt play. Indiana and Portland. So this one's tough to talk about because I have no idea who's going to be available. A lot of guys didn't play tonight. Halbert, Siakam, Nembhard, Naismith. We'll see if there are any of those guys available on a back-to-back. Also want to see if the game is competitive, see what the rotation looks like for the Pacers. So this is basically impossible. If the same guys are out, then yeah, McConnell's an absolute smash for me. Mathurin and Hield, if the game is competitive, I would assume would play 30-plus minutes, more uses for Turner. Like value guys like Toppin and Jalen Smith, even maybe Jarris Walker. I think he'll be in the rotation tonight, would all be in play. But yeah, it's just too hard to talk about right now for the Pacers. Now for the Blazers, no Shane Sharp. DeAndre Ayton should be back here. I think Ayton will be on a limitation, though. He's been out for a while since before Christmas. We'll keep an eye on the news, though. But with him basically back, that takes like the other bigs out of play. Walker, Ibuaji. The guys that I do have interest in are going to be Simons, Jeremy Grant, and Malcolm Brogdon. So Simons, he's the number one option on offense in a competitive game. He's playing close to 40 minutes. I obviously like his upside in a good matchup. Jeremy Grant had a huge game, too. 40-plus fantasy points. He should play big minutes. Scoop moved to the bench and only played 23 minutes, so kind of tough to get to Scoop. But Brogdon started. If Brogdon starts again, I like him. Little revenge spot. Played 30 minutes last game. I know he's been a little bit up and down this season, but reasonable price point, nice eligibility. I think it'd be a pretty good play. All right, final game here. We got Brooklyn and the Lakers. So Mikal Bridges probable. No Ben Simmons. No Day'Ron Sharp still. I mean, Bridges is the guy with the highest ceiling in a competitive game. You should see mid to high 30s minutes from him. Nick Claxton's minutes have been up. Assuming he can stay out of foul trouble, I do think he plays 30-plus minutes. What else? Dinwiddie's minutes kind of been up and down. Same with Dennis Smith Jr. It was Dennis Smith Jr. recently, but last game, Dinwiddie played 30-plus minutes, and they kind of limited the minutes on DSJ. So I don't think I would play both these guys together. Only 14 minutes for DSJ was disappointing last time out. Cam Thomas, we know he's up and he's down. Obviously, he's making shots. He has a ceiling, but if he's struggling with a shot like last game, he has a floor. Cam Johnson, 5.9. The minutes have been not great on him of late, 23, 23, and 27. Then you got the 3-and-D guys and Dorian Finney-Smith, 28 and 32 minutes over the last couple games, and Royce O'Neal, 4.5. Brooklyn, like I said, when they're close to fully healthy, they're a pretty boring team. Finally, the Lakers. So LeBron, AD, fully expect both to play. I do give the edge to Anthony Davis over LeBron if I had to pick between the two. But D'Lo's the guy I wanted to mention. His minutes have ticked way up of late, 41, 36, and 36 over the last 3 games. If he continues to start and play these type of minutes, then D'Lo is going to stand out as a pretty good value. I think Reeves would be like a fine pivot off of D'Lo. I think D'Lo would be a lot more popular. Reeves has shown a similar ceiling. I think will come in a lot less owned. I don't really know if I get to anyone else, though. Torian Prince at 4K, probably sees, 25 to 30 minutes. Get Rui back. I mean, there's just so many guys. You got like Rui and Wood. I don't know. Vanderbilt, too. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to prioritize any of these value plays for the Lakers. Yeah, that's it for the Lakers. That's going to wrap up the video as well. So, as always, if you do enjoy, just make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you guys all in the next video.